Before starting this video, I do want to give a thank you to my patrons that support the channel. And if you would like to support the channel, there are some great benefits for you in the link down below. So with that, let's get into today's video. Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Devin coming back at you with another video today on PubStomp MTG. And in this video, I wanted to focus on a commander that recently was reprinted in Ravnica Remastered. And this commander, I'll be quite honest, I was a little apprehensive of making for a couple reasons, but with Niv-Mizzet Parun, I feel like it's a commander, again, that I've been wanting to build around for quite a while, and I feel like nothing has drawn me towards it, but finally, after seeing this new art treatment with Niv-Mizzet, I feel like, okay, it's time for me to make it. It absolutely looks stunning. I love the anime art treatment with it, with the lightning around him, and of course with his silly grin. And so for me personally, it was time. And so today I wanted to share with you my deck list that I've been brewing around him for CEDH. Of course, the big drawback for him previously why I didn't want to build around him is strikingly obvious. The mana cost is quite ridiculous. 6 mana in a CEDH commander is not what you really want, but it's doable. But the worst offender of it is not even so much the mana cost, it's the type of mana you have to spend for it. So you have to pay triple blue and triple red for it, and so that's literally quite insane. It's not too bad in a Jeweled Lotus world, so I don't think it's going to be terrible to cast him. There's a lot of ways you could do so. So of course in today's video, I wanted to share with you some of my thoughts and impressions on Niv-Mizzet. Obviously this is a very old commander. Ever since, I want to say, 2018 or 2019, this commander has been out, so it's pretty old, but it's still a really good commander. I mean, control-wise, it's a heuristic study of the command zone. Kind of. Obviously, whenever you're playing an instant or sorcery spell, whether you or another opponent are playing them, you draw a card. And obviously, when you draw a card, you deal 1 damage to any target. So that by itself is a win condition with many options. But for me personally, I feel like, again, this is going to be a deck I'm going to be building in paper. So you're probably going to see it soon eventually. But aside from that, I do want to discuss with you some of the options in this list, some reasons why I put in some cards and some reasons why I took out some cards. So let's dive into it.
Winter is coming.
So the first card I do want to mention with you is Displacerkin. This is a very interesting one because it's not necessarily a combo card in the deck, but it's more to just protect Niv-Mizzet, because if you're casting any of your instants, and trust me, you have a lot of instants to go through, you're basically protecting him by flickering him back and forth, so that when somebody has targeted removal against Niv-Mizzet, you don't have to worry about that by just casting a little cantrip. And that's the main reason why I wanted Displacerkin in the deck. Also, another reason what is really good about Displacerkin is obviously if you do have Dockside Extortionist, that's just a 2-card combo almost. Obviously, if you're casting instant and sorcery spells, the more you do cast, the more you can blink Dockside and the more mana you can get. So that's another reason why I like Displacerkin. Other reasons are not really too crazy. I mean, you do have Spellseeker that you can keep on bouncing so that you can get more and more spells out of your library. So that's what, again, Displacerkin is more of a utility creature, if anything else, protecting Commander, also with some ETB strategies. Fairy Mastermind is one that I've been kind of tempted to take out of the deck, but the main reason why I do want it is so that we can just keep refilling our hand. I know Niv-Mizzet can come down and refill our hand quite a bit, but in the early game, if we can't get Niv-Mizzet out, whether it's because of Drannith Magistrate, this is a good secondary option. Goblin Matron is pretty simple. It's getting Dockside Extortionist. Imperial Recruiter is getting Dockside Extortionist. There's a lot of options that you can get. You can get Phyrexian Metamorph if you want to copy somebody's One Ring. You can get a Ragavan, Spellseeker if you really need to, a Spellskite so that you could protect Niv-Mizzet. Really, almost anything in here besides Oher Ashanil is the one that you're not really going to be getting. Speaking of this card, this is probably one of the more interesting cards that you don't necessarily see in every Niv-Mizzet deck. It's a newer card with... the main reason why I wanted to focus on this card is the fact instead of Niv-Mizzet dealing 1 damage, you're going to be dealing 4 damage if you're targeting an opponent with Oher Ashanil. So again, this is an iffy card, something I've been debating on taking out, but I think it's going to put in work, especially if you're going for a curiosity effect, and if you have like 20 cards left in your library, instead of 1 damage, you're going to deal 4 damage to each of your opponents. So I feel like The trade-off is actually pretty decent, so this might be a stay-in. Again, I'm kind of debating on it. Of course, with Phyrexian Metamorph, you're copying people's dock sides, you're copying people's One Rings. That's the main reason why I do like it as a clone effect, is you can copy the One Ring, and obviously it's one of the better card draw outlets I have seen in quite a while, and so of course it's a mainstay in the deck. So of course we do have the win condition, so Tandem Lookout. We also do have Curiosity and also Ophionize. So with the Curiosity effects, of course, with Niv-Mizzet, when you draw a card, you're going to be pinging somebody for damage, and then when a enchanted creature deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. So this is going to create a chain reaction for Niv-Mizzet. Obviously, you can stop with Curiosity at least, but say for example, you have 1 mana left and you decide, hey, I really want to close out the game. You could use Winds of Change for 1 red mana. Each player shuffles the cards from their hand into their library, then draws that many cards. So say for example, you ping everybody, but there's one opponent left with like 10 life. You could easily just Winds of Change to repeat the process. If you drew like 40 cards, you could just ping that person for 40 damage. So that's why I do like Winds of Change. Also, Valakut Awakening is another way of doing that, but at instant speed. So again, choosing your options as far as finding the right win con with one of your Curiosity effects, and then later on using Valakut Awakening or Winds of Change so that you can repeat the process by drawing about like 40 or 50 cards, depending on obviously how deep you go into with Curiosity. But at first when I was brewing this deck, I'll be quite honest, I put in Underworld Breach, Lion's Eye Diamond, and also Brain Freeze in the deck, but I quickly realized that's not the game plan at all. You don't want to be milling yourself because of course you want to be making sure that you could get your win condition online so that you could keep drawing cards with Curiosity effects. So that's why there's obviously not going to be any Breach stuff. I have been tempted on putting Lion's Eye Diamond in the deck, because if you put all your fast mana out, then you put Lion's Eye Diamond out, you could easily probably cast Niv-Mizzet if you can. So the next combo I do want to talk about is Isochron Scepter and also Dramatic Reversal. So I feel like this is a good combo in the deck. I don't think it's super necessary with all the Curiosity effects, but I do like a backup win condition, at least in my opinion. I like 2 or 3 in my decks just to make sure if one win condition does get exiled, or if there's a Drannith Magistrate on the battlefield, I don't have to worry about it. Obviously, this does worry about having our commander out on the battlefield, so I don't think Drannith Magistrate is the right example. But with Dramatic Reversal and also Isochron Scepter, it's a good way of constantly casting an instant spell so that you could then draw basically your whole entire deck, ping everybody for damage. And also you do have a lot of mana up with Isochron Scepter, Dramatic Reversal. So if somebody tries to basically ruin your game plan, you have an abundance amount of counter spells and also interaction you could use against your opponents. So obviously, I do feel like Dramatic Reversal and Isochron Scepter is a good win condition as well. Another little combo I do want to highlight is also Dol Amroth. So this has the ability of paying blue and tapping into untapped target legendary permanent. And the main reason why I want to point this out is because, not that I discovered it, I've seen other YouTubers talk about it, but I've seen people basically use this card in with Tangent of the One Ring. So basically, because it's a legendary permanent, you could untap it with Dol Amroth. So that's a really good way of like drawing 1 card if it enters the battlefield. You could untap it with Dol Amroth so that you could draw 2 cards. And if, say for example, you have 5 burn encounters on the One Ring, you could tap the One Ring to draw 5 cards, and then later on untap it with Dol Amroth to draw 6 cards, in total to draw 11 cards. And again, if you have Niv-Mizzet on the battlefield, that's just game over. I feel like there's just a lot of ways where the One Ring is absolutely busted with Niv-Mizzet. The more burn encounters you do have on it, the crazier it will get. Another interesting card I do want to point out is Born Upon a Wind. So this is a really good card with Necropones, but I feel like it's also equally good in this deck as well, mainly because with Niv-Mizzet, obviously you're drawing cards to deal damage. You want to focus on basically winning on top of your opponents. Say for example, somebody's going for the win with a Thassa's Oracle Tainted Pact combo, and you have Niv-Mizzet on the battlefield, and you also have a Born Upon the Wind and also Curiosity effect. So the idea with the Born Upon the Wind is basically you cast the spell, Niv-Mizzet will trigger, and you'll deal 1 damage and also deal a 2nd damage with the draw card too. So you'll get 2 damage triggers. And on top of that, what's very nice about that is if you do have Curiosity in your hand, you could cast it in response to those damage triggers, so then you could kind of win on top of those other people when trying to win the game. So that is why I decided to put Born Upon the Wind in the deck. But that's mainly it. Obviously, this is a very control-heavy deck with the amount of instants you can see in this deck. But let me know down below in the comments, what are your thoughts about Niv-Mizzet? Obviously, this is a very old commander. Have you had experience with it? I would love to know and hear your thoughts because, again, I think I'm starting my Niv-Mizzet journey, and I want to see and hear some of your thoughts, especially if you played it in CEDH. So again, let me know down below in the comments. I'd love to have a conversation with you. You can also join the Discord too to talk with me if you want to dive in further with Niv-Mizzet, or really any other commanders you want to talk about. So with all that said, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. With that out of the way, thank you for stopping by.